religious games have certainly had a difficult past, often criticized for being boring, rip-offs, or just being more preachy than my mom about cleaning my room. And no matter what way you slice it, it has certainly been proven difficult to combine religion and games in a way that seems to just work. So today we, the team behind 10500, are sharing our thoughts on faith in games. How can we learn from the past, what approaches are there, and how are we planning to combine games and faith in our upcoming game, 10500. This is a deep dive in the God and Games, where we answer the burning question, are religious games just doomed to fail? And why do we bother making one? Now let's first back up a bit, because at a closer look in the gaming industry, we see that religion is actually much more common than you might expect, where nowadays countless games include some kind of religious themes, symbols or gods in their game world. Take Assassin's Creed Origins with its Trials of Gods event that directly references 3 Egyptian gods that you can take on in epic boss fight style. And if Egyptian gods aren't to your taste, then Hades goes into the Greek mythological characters that during your progress in the world you meet, fight, date or get absolutely destroyed by as you fight through the levels.
Well, that was pretty good all in all.
Another thing that is certainly pretty good is The Legends of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which during your exploration of the world allows you to find many hidden Koroks. And these little creatures draw a reference to Kodama, known as the first spirits in Japanese folklore. And in many of the Dragon Quest games, the church takes quite a central role too, with it being the designated save point. And although religions in the game are all fictional, the buildings certainly show some inspiration from real religious buildings like Christianity. So religious references seem there to be more than enough, but examples often seem simplistic. Like, what did we get from this? That Greek gods have a great sense of humor, that 3 spirits are adorable, and that whenever you enter a church, religious background music starts playing? Now, there's nothing wrong with just using mythology as mostly visuals. It doesn't suit every game to go to the full depth of religion, but at this point we have to ask ourselves if we aren't just actively avoiding it. Now, a different way of combining games and religion is by just merging it directly into the gameplay. Strategy games are a genre that have managed this for a while now, but the question is, does it help to represent religion any better? Take for example Medieval 2 Total War, where from the comfort of your throne you send out your army of priests to spread your religion to the lands around you, creating rebellions if they aren't on your side, or calling for a holy crusade to unite with your fellow religious nations to reclaim the Holy Lands. Newer strategy games like Civilization 6 still include religion. And interestingly, in Civilization 6 you have a religion incorporated with its own victory type, a religious victory, achieved when more than half of all the cities in the world civilization follow your religion. That's a cool reference to how religion can promote a peaceful approach over war, but it also sounds like the most boring way to win. So it seems like strategy games can only go so far when including religion. They do a great job of showing the global impact that religion can have, equal to wars or diplomacy, and also how it can unite or divide nations over it. But a main problem that arises when playing is that religion ends up reduced as a tool, only used to make the most beneficial choice. Even for those that identify with a religion. In the end, all they end up doing is they're trying to push their religion over the world, making it a controlling system more than anything else. So what do we do then, if just incorporating religion visually or mechanically isn't quite enough? Well, in 2016 a completely new direction was taken with the game That Dragon Cancer. A game about the heartbreaking story of Joel, a 4-year-old that fights against the dragon Cancer. Through the eyes of the parents, the player gets to experience their dramatic situation and existential life questions, as the player sees how vivid fate comes into play, how it's relevant and carried them in challenging real-life situations.
I'm sorry guys, it's not good.
This way, you have a game that is less about promoting or preaching religion, and more about an honest display of it, leaving the player to understand more about the personal side of religion. Unfortunately, there haven't been many games like this since. Games that take you to the deeply touching core of religion and faith. So why haven't we seen more of this? Well, part of the reason seems to be that especially bigger game companies want to avoid religious controversy in any way, or risk alienating part of their customer base if their faith is not equally represented. Which makes sense. So there are good reasons to keep religion out of your game, or at least to keep it relatively simple. But we believe there is at least an equal amount of good reasons to include it in a way that really does justice to its depth. Because why wouldn't we use the medium of games that we love to explore some of the most important questions that we as human beings can ask ourselves? Like, why are we here? Where do we go? Is there a God? And if yes, does he want something from me or for me? And what does that mean for the way I live my life? In 1 of 500, we want to take you back in time and show the origin and core of a very specific movement. The movement of Jesus from Nazareth. We have noticed how much better we've understood this faith and the messages of Jesus when you dive in their historical context. That's why we work with universities and professors to reconstruct an authentic world, which ultimately helps to better understand the biblical texts. But this won't just be the best history course ever, we're creating an epic gaming adventure with thrilling conflicts in which Jesus' messages really become relevant. Creating that moment where you go, ah, now I get what this is about. However, how you shape your morally and spiritually challenging journey in this game is always up to you. It is never forced into a certain direction. Much more, it is an offer to experiment and to explore questions about religion, faith and God for yourself. And maybe throughout the story you will find some answers, or maybe not, but you can certainly be quite sure that you've never experienced a story like this before. That said, let us know what you think. Is religion just ruining your favorite games? Or are there some missed opportunities where religion can still be used to create some pretty amazing game experiences?